She's going.
Truncate the videographers. Truncate the videographization.
I gotta tell you.
I look best like an 8-bit Mario.
8-bit Mario?
Yeah, can we go 8-bit?
What's 8-bit?
I don't know. 8-bit, you know.
Okay, we're ready.
We're just a whole bunch of squares, big squares. Hello, human beings. Welcome back to episode 2. Of course, I'm making an assumption that you were here for episode 1, so welcome back. And this long-winded transitionary conversation about being here will hopefully not be a regular event. My name's Eric, this is Anna, and we are here to talk about stuff. What stuff are we talking about today, honey?
We are talking about couples in business.
Seems weird. Why would anyone do that?
Oh, I wonder that sometimes.
She's lying.
It has been fun.
You wonder that every single day.
I do. Is it because it said sometimes?
It's because you said sometimes. It ain't easy. There's a lot of, as Robin Thicke once said, with the help of Pharrell Williams, a lot of blurred lines. And
wow.
What?
Well said.
Everybody get up. Anyways, it's really hard sometimes, obviously. Especially when we don't necessarily have the exact same mood. I can be a bit of a joker, and by a bit, I mean I sometimes have no concept of how much I'm being a joker. And that transitions into all aspects of who I am and how I am. But it doesn't always work from a coupley perspective, nor does it help from a business perspective. Wouldn't you agree, honey?
Yeah, it's, did you just nod?
No.
How come you have coffee and I don't?
You finished your coffee already? How did you do that?
It was a rough night and a rough morning.
Tell the world why.
So our baby boy turned 10 yesterday. I know. And he had a very full day of stuff going on. And then at the end of the day, he got a little emotional.
Mm-hmm.
He had some trouble sleeping. So Mama Bear came to the rescue.
Yes.
And then Mama Bear suffered the rest of the night.
Well,
and
make
this
it
morning,
sound like I didn't suffer at all.
No,
I mean, I wasn't
you
there.
suffered this morning with the other one.
Yes.
You suffered this morning with Lucas, who woke up earlier than usual because he said he had, what did he have? He had some nightmares?
Multiple nightmares.
About spiders.
I had too many nightmares.
Yeah, I'm done sleeping for today.
I think the most interesting part about it was that, and this is part of couples in business, this is part of routines, this is part of being there for one another and not trying to always go against the other person. But we woke up this morning with the promise that we're going to start to do workouts in the morning. Once upon a time, this was an idea that we had.
He showered, I didn't.
So once upon a time, this was an idea where Anna was like getting up at 4 or 5 in the morning, and she's like, I'm perfectly fine handling myself, right? And I think that as that evolved, I remember like you went downstairs, made yourself a cup of coffee, and you stared at like a dot on the wall for an hour and a half before you finally got into your first exercise. And sometimes you'd meditate. And anyways, it just got not out of hand, but difficult. Let's put it that way. So we said, listen, we don't need to do more than 30 minutes at minimum. If we wake up at 6, and we get downstairs by 6:30, we can be done by 7, and then depending on how much has to be done to prepare the kids for school, there could actually be time for a quick shower or not. So fast forward to what happened this morning. I finished my workout at 7:03. I made it very clear to not skimp out because I wanted to get those extra couple of minutes when I needed to take a quick break in the middle. And as I'm about to pop into the shower, don't I hear footsteps coming from the second floor of the house down to the basement? I don't want to sleep anymore. I have too many bad dreams. I had one about a spider. He had hands. And then, Annie, what did you try and get him to do?
I wanted him to go off to bed, which he typically would, but today he just wouldn't have it. He's
No
like, we're going to have
thanks.
grumpus for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
That's okay.
So you didn't get to shower as a
So I didn't
result?
get to shower.
I did because I took him
Because
back
you're doing it
upstairs.
so much faster for you.
It can be, that's
Yeah.
true. But yeah, I took him upstairs. It was the only way to get him upstairs.
Get some
It's not like,
snuggies.
okay, let's go.
Snoogle.
Well, first I showered, then it was snooped.
Yeah.
I didn't want him to all that, grossness.
But anyway,
Yeah.
let's move on. Let's move on.
So, couples in business, we are on schedule-ish, sort of. I mean, let's be honest, this is the second time that we've done this, and we've done a few dry runs, and every single time, literally every single time, with the exception of today, let's knock on wood, but let's also not jinx it for the future, the microphones took forever to set up properly.
Last time, not this time.
Every time, but this time.
Okay, so
Every
hopefully
time.
this is a fresh start for us.
Yeah, like 9 o'clock, and the microphones were set up, and Anna's upstairs just getting herself ready, which is fantastic. And I'm just like, what am I gonna do for the next 20 minutes? Made the coffee, sat down for a minute, blah, blah. So here we are, and we're actually ahead of schedule because I didn't have a disaster to take care of.
Well, now that you said that,
I do talk.
it's all because I broke 2 glasses yesterday, simultaneously.
It's good luck.
I know.
Maybe it's an anti because the one is good luck, but then the other takes away the good luck. It's like,
No.
what was that game where there's nopes in it?
Oh,
I'm gonna do this. Nope. I
It
nope
was,
your nope.
Kids
Oh, I nope, nope,
Against-
nope your nope.
is it a Kids Against Maturity?
No.
That it was exploding kittens.
Exploding kittens. Nope, 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 nope,
Okay,
nope.
we're digressing. We're digressing.
I'm good at that.
Okay, so what's our first point of discussion here? Look at that.
Procrastination and getting off topic.
All right, positives and negatives of being in it together.
Positives.
Tell me before that, did you ever think, okay, question 1, did you ever think you're going to go into some form of an entrepreneurship? And I'm not talking about what you were doing with your old life, which was kind of like half and half.
Like financial planning stuff?
Yeah. But like full-time, head-on kind of thing. Did you ever think that?
I never did. Like I never thought of myself as someone who could sell well, but I always thought of myself seriously, I still don't. It's not something that's inherently easy for me. I see ideas, I believe in ideas going, but I don't ever see myself as that soldier on the ground trying to get people to do things. I'm not good at convincing people. I'm good at explaining to people the value of things and then letting them make their own decision.
I disagree with you.
Okay, well, thank you. But again, it's never been in financial planning, the amount of tactics, because I used to be a trainer too, so I used to teach other people how to do this sort of stuff and different ideas and suggestions going on, and I always felt the least comfortable when we came to the conversations around, if you don't do this and this happens, your entire life is over. Your family will no longer be able to blah, blah, blah. So this was always a challenge for me. I couldn't do that. I'm like, here. I'm here to tell you the truth. I'm here to tell you why I bought what I bought. And I'm here to tell you that this is what's important based on what you're telling me. Fast forward to what we're doing right now. I never expected that we were going to come up with our own product. I never expected that we were going to come up with our own company. I never expected to be the only people in the world that had this version of what we're trying to sell, ever. But I've always been, to an extent, innovative. And I think you have too. I don't think you give yourself enough credit on that.
I don't. I'm very very biased towards myself, and I don't have a lot of. I'm working on seeing more positives in myself. But
And believing the positives that I
Yeah.
share with you, about you.
but okay, so you thought that you. So what was the answer? Yes or no? You didn't think you
I
would.
gotta say no, yeah.
Okay. And then when you kind of started, did you think we're actually going to be sticking through this together?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. You and I are a very special kind of
Breed.
pair. Yeah. Like, how we are who we are, it's so weird that you find the person that you consider your soulmate through means of the internet. Like, if the internet didn't exist, would we have found each other? And we lived less than a kilometer from one another, just saying, before we ever met. And we went to the same school at the same time. not high school, but university, but still. Yeah, I felt like, just like when we kind of knew that we wanted to be together, like despite everything, I mean, you have your kinks, I have my kinks, we have baggage in different ways, like anybody, but I think it was the same thing when we decided that this was something important. And yes, there was an emotional aspect that we probably felt like we're doing this because we're telling ourselves we have to, or we just need to get away from something else. But I think ultimately, and this is one of those massive benefits about you, you are a researcher. It was a big component of what you did in your career before. And I just knew, I mean, it's amazing that you're so bad at it when it comes to you need to buy a laptop or something
not
with electronics. Yeah, you are.
Okay,
Sorry.
first of all, okay, let's just clarify something here. I'm not bad at it.
Okay.
I'm not bad at it. I can find. Didn't I find my computer screen?
That's the shock. That's like
I'm
that
not
was
bad
so
at it.
good.
I just don't like doing it. I don't like doing it, and I don't like. I know you like doing it, so I just,
Which means,
assign that to
ironically,
you.
I should have been doing what you've done in your career, and I should have stayed with it the rest of my life because apparently I like to research.
Yeah, but you like to research very specific things.
Yes. this
Anyways,
is
we're digressing again. Okay, so you thought, yeah, I know, right? It's gonna be a constant here. We're gonna have to be cutting all that out.
We're fun. No, leave it. It's gonna be
But-
amazing.
You thought, so you knew that we're going to be, once we started, you knew we were gonna stick through this together.
I just knew that we were gonna get to a point where we knew that this was something that we could do, or we were going to get to a point where we gave it our all. I've always been a person, and I'm hoping that I'm teaching my children the same thing. You give it your all. You don't go partway through something, it's difficult, so you give up on it. Like so many people do. You want to try something, you want to put the effort into making a conscious decision on something, put the effort in.
What do you like the most and what do you like the least about working together?
Without trying to sound too cheeky,
No, but be honest.
the fact that I get to spend almost all of my time with the person that I fell in love with and I'm still in love with is probably the best part of every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Despite the arguments and the challenges and the frustrations and the I can't believe how dumb you sound, I'm so sorry that I sound so dumb. It's like, for me, my mind, it happens and then it's gone. And I'm back to remembering that I'm here with you and I'm here for us and that matters. And I know that sometimes I take that and I almost use that as the excuse for being an idiot as we go through a learning phase. But I think that's probably the bigger challenge. I know that we're talking about what's the benefit, but that's a part of it. Like the benefit also creates the challenge of, do you sometimes take for granted the fact that this is work? And it's those blurred lines again. How about you?
I mean, I think working together has been way harder than I thought it would be. And it's funny because we both kind of came into this with a very similar work ethic, which I think if we didn't have, we wouldn't be doing this together. But it's funny how when you put us together on a project, it's like, okay, well, you can't have two leaders. And I think this is probably the biggest challenge that we have is this, like, it's not really a power battle, but it's more like I'm used to doing things a certain way and then you're used to doing things a certain way. And I've been doing certain things for longer. And so it's hard for me to give them up and like ask you to do something because I've just been doing it myself for such a long time.
Yeah.
And it's something that I've always struggled with because, and it's weird because it's not like I've ever worked with somebody close to me, but I remember when I was working at the office, you know, you give somebody a finger and they take the entire hand and then they take the whole credit, right, for everything. And you're not in competition with each other, but at the same time, it's just something subconscious that
It's a pride thing, right?
yeah, like it's something like I'm still thinking a lot of times unintentionally that the successes are like either my successes or your successes, and not always am I looking at it like, okay, it's us doing it, it's us working on it together. So this is something that I feel is I think that I have to be like consciously working on and continuing to, like flag to myself that it's you and I together as a unit.
Like, how do you know when you're my business partner versus my wife versus the mother of my children? How do you know? How do you feel differently between those different separations?
Well, the parent part is easy because
All those little people.
yeah, exactly, the little people. No, but like it's easy. You don't need to be a parent when they're not around, technically. Sorry, at least not actively, but like obviously the decisions that you make for like, what's happening this evening or this weekend, you have to take into consideration that you're a parent.
Or the concerns that you hear them talk to you about with school, which will
Sure,
be for
but
another
that's
podcast. But yeah,
not like they're not around, right? So if they're in school, then you can kind of cross that off, and then being business partners versus just partners, we don't have that clarity yet because like a lot of the time like we fight a lot, just saying, like we really
we quarrel regularly.
Yeah.
Fight is an aggressive word.
right.
Sometimes accurate.
We have quite a bit of conflict because
You said it. We're both leaders in our
Yeah.
own rights, and you were the one that began this, and this was always a point where I was going to be there with you. But again, it's that separation. It's that give off, hand off stuff. It's my understanding of leadership versus your understanding of leadership versus your not benefits. What's the word I'm looking for? Your qualities and capabilities versus mine. They're not the same.
right.
Yeah.
And yeah, we definitely struggle with when to turn off the husband and wife mode and turn on the work mode. And I think a lot of it has to do with not having, like, there's always something that's happening that it's you and I, whether it's like parents or a couple or work. Like it's always us together, and we kind of, I think, forgot what it's like to be individuals, really. So then when we kind of like come into something together, you have these still your old habits and your subconscious and whatever plays a role, right? And you just don't know. Like if we were like right now in the office and we weren't married, like what would this dynamic look like? Would we be able to be working together? Would we be able to reach the same decisions that we reach right now? Would we be able to accomplish what we're trying to accomplish? And like that's a very complex question, and I have no idea how to answer it, obviously. But yeah, I think when this is going to become a bit of a more
Routine.
well-oiled machine,
Yeah.
as they say, I think it'll be easier for us to kind of like know when to turn it on and off.
Yeah,
But
here's
right
the
now everything's taken personally, and that's, if anybody else out there who's listening, watching this, who is starting a journey similar to ours, it would be nice to know what your experience is like and whether this is like a normal thing or whether it's like we're just completely fucked and we should just like, I'm a sailor. Sailor. Wow.
Do people actually know what they're getting themselves into when they do this? And for you and I, it's similarly different to what you just said, in that the way in which we have no concept of when are we husband-wife mode, when are we business mode, even when they're off to a sleepover and we have a date night, we have the house to ourselves, how often do we talk about work? Evenings, talk about work. Weekends, talk about work.
Well, I also think that for us, like this, doing things during work hours, it's like it's a huge blessing. Like to have to not, because I remember like doing something as simple as grocery shopping, and you go like in the evening after work, and it's like a suicide mission, and it doesn't matter where you go, which store, which area, it's always like it takes you 3 times longer. So I appreciate being able to do that during quote unquote work hours, but I think for you and I, it's also like that's our, like weird way of having work life balance in that, like my escape honestly is to go grocery shopping. And I think yours is as well because it's just something different and just something to get us out of the house because we're cooped up in here, like we don't have an office anywhere else. We don't have to really travel like for work. We don't have to get into our car for anything other than groceries and driving our kids around to extracurricular activities. So to do like find reasons to just almost like not go crazy because you're in your home all the time, that's part of like, okay, well, let's bring in kind of like the mental health a little bit into it.
And you're right. It almost feels like a date when we go grocery shopping, even though we've said like as part of sharing responsibilities with our kids, we have to start implementing groceries after school. Why we continue to not do that? They deserve playtime, especially when the weather's good.
Oh yeah.
So I get when that happens, but it all goes back to the idea of having that strong work ethic, having the no excuse mentality. And I think that we're getting better at it. And I also think that it again goes to the blurring of the lines of I look at it from one perspective, you look at it from a different perspective. You have a hard time delegating. I have a hard time understanding how I can be supportive if things aren't being shared as regularly as I'd want them to be so that we can move more efficiently and effectively on certain tasks and whatnot. But it also is one of those things we're going right back to what you first asked, which is what is the best part about this? It's that I still get to do it with you every single day, all day long. Like this is a blessing beyond anything else that I'm not your spouse before and after work. And there was a lot of after work I'm working. There was a lot of after work you're working. So when are you actually anything other than a legal contract and parents to children that are being raised by babysitters, essentially? Partner, wifey partner,
Like your partner.
baby mama partner. That's the thing, right?